All right, so we got a coyote up here on a drag. I'm gonna show you. This is a prime example as to why we use them. So we're on this big valley field, and there's a fence up here that's been cut out, and there's only one way through it. And obviously there's a lot of ATV traffic, side-by-side traffic, but the critters use it too. And we put a set in there on a drag. And it's going to be really hard to see this joker. But there's a coyote in those rocks that looks exactly like the rocks, laying his head down on a rock. And we'll get out and take a look at it. But anybody that's driving by here, they're not going to see that dog. I mean, he blends in so well with that there's just no way. So it allowed us to trap him, and for him to get off of the heavily traveled path, so we're able to dispatch him before somebody else messes with him. And we'll get out and take a look at him. All right, so this better look at this dog, but he happens to be one that his features blend in perfectly with the surroundings. And obviously they're not all this color. We have some ugly coyotes, but anybody that came riding up here, there was no way they would see this dog. That's pretty much why we use the drags. Now, I don't know if you can see it on the video, but when we film the remake, you'll be able to see it. But there's a fence right there, and there's one hole in the fence where all the side-by-side traffic comes through. Well, obviously, that's the only way the predators can get through as well. So we've had a trap on a drag set up there and picked up this coyote last night. So let us deal with him, and then we'll be back for the remake. All right, so this is the remake. Again, we're in this big valley field. There's basically there's not only one way. It's not necessarily a land bridge, but this is where all the ATVs come through this big drainage, and the predators use it heavy too. So we came up here, and we came right in the middle of it where the ATVs are going to straddle the set and put a set in. And now this set is extremely simple. I mean, sometimes people want stuff that's, really complicated and all this stuff to it. This is an extremely simple set, and I'm going to show you. Again, the beauty of the drag is this set is preserved. This rock right here still has lure on it, and the only reason it got tossed is because it was sitting on the chain. And a freeze again in the bottom. We're going to throw the drag over there. I'll deal with all that chain in a minute. That's it. That's why it's hard to argue with how much a drag simplifies things. And I know you can't always use them, but by gosh, it makes it a lot easier. Again, you're just going to use your peat moss down in the jaws. To insulate. Take your finger and work that peat down in there inside those jaws. Can't be worried about that trap firing on your finger. If you ain't had a trap on your finger, you ain't trapping yet. Supposed to get some snow tonight. Salt it as you go. A little bit more peat. You don't want too much peat. Trying to slow the trap down when it comes out of there. And I'm going to show you, it's real easy to blend these sets, so it doesn't really matter if you can see some of it. So there's our pan. This rock was placed here to have him over top of it. Cover that chain up a little bit. And then right on top, this weather we've been getting, just do a little bit of waxed dirt. Kind of rough that up. And that's all there is to it. No need to re-lure. There's still lure on this rock. There's lure under the edge. I've got lure on the edge of that, and I showed you the lure that's still on there. Now, one thing I always do, I did notice turds, put them up on top not only for a visual, but then I'll rehydrate those with urine. And here's the key to this set. These are the flower clippers from Walmart. These are actually Leanne's. I confiscated them from her bag. And so find yourself some super dry grass. Now one thing I see guys doing is they cover really heavy with your grass. And a lot of times what happens when you do that is you'll show up and your trap's fired and you've got a bunch of grass in it. And most of the time that's attributed to the fact that you put too much grass in your trap bed. So you just want to cut it extremely fine, or sometimes you can just yeah, I'm just cutting on the ends of that. And what I'll do sometimes, I'll cut it really small, fill that bed up good, and then I'll take the back of my hand. And all this grass that we're putting in this bed pretty much blends in with the rocks and the grass everywhere else. But again, look, if you'll look, it's extremely fine the way we're cutting it. Almost like you're chopping carrots. And that's the finished set. Extremely simple, highly effective. The most important thing about sets like this is when you put them in a heavily traveled path, you're going to pick up coyotes. We can help you. Just get up with us. Catch you somewhere else down the line.